Harry glanced at Hagrid, who had just risked his own life to save Harry's. Hagrid, whom he loved, whom he trusted, who had once been tricked into giving Voldemort crucial information in exchange for the dragon's egg. "No," Harry said aloud, and they all looked at him, surprised. The fire whiskey seemed to have amplified his voice. "I mean, if somebody made a mistake," Harry went on, "and let something slip, I know they didn't mean to do it. It's not their fault," he repeated, again a little louder than he would usually have spoken. "We've got to trust each other. I trust all of you. I don't think anyone in this room would ever sell me to Voldemort." More silence followed his words. They were all looking at him. Harry felt a little hot again, and drank some more fire whiskey for something to do. As he drank, he thought of Mad Eye. Mad Eye had always been scathing about Dumbledore's willingness to trust people. "Well said, Harry," said Fred unexpectedly. "Yeah, ear, ear," said George, with a half-glance at Fred, the corner of whose mouth twitched. Lupin was wearing an odd expression as he looked at Harry. It was close to pitying. "You think I'm a fool?" demanded Harry. "No, I think you're like James," said Lupin, who would have regarded it as the height of dishonor to mistrust his friends. Harry knew what Lupin was getting at, that his father had been betrayed by his friend Peter Pettigrew. He felt irrationally angry. He wanted to argue, but Lupin had turned away from him, set a glass down upon a side table, and addressed Bill. "There's work to do. I can ask Kingsley whether—" "No," said Bill at once. "I'll do it. I'll come." "Where are you going?" said Tonks and Fleur together. "Mad Eye's body," said Lupin. "We need to recover it." "Can't it—" began Mrs. Weasley with an appealing look at Bill. "Wait," said Bill. "Not unless you'd rather the Death Eaters took it." Nobody spoke. Lupin and Bill said goodbye and left. The rest of them now dropped into chairs, all except for Harry, who remained standing. The suddenness and completeness of death was with them like a presence. "I've got to go too," said Harry. 10 pairs of startled eyes looked at him. "Don't be silly, Harry," said Mrs. Weasley. "What are you talking about?" "I can't stay here." He rubbed his forehead. It was prickling again. It had not hurt this much. It had not hurt like this for more than a year. "You're all in danger while I'm here. I don't want—" "But don't be silly," said Mrs. Weasley. "The whole point of tonight was that you get here safely, and thank goodness it worked. And Fleur has agreed to get married here rather than in France. We've arranged everything so that we can all stay together and look after you." She did not understand. She was making him feel worse, not better. "If Voldemort finds out I'm here—" "But why should he?" asked Mrs. Weasley. "There are a dozen places you might now be, Harry," said Mr. Weasley. "He's got no way of knowing which safe house you're in." "It's not me I'm worried for," said Harry. "We know that," said Mr. Weasley quietly, "but it would make our efforts tonight seem rather pointless if you left." "You're not going anywhere," growled Hagrid. "Blimey, Harry, after all we went through to get you here." "Yeah, what about my bleeding ear?" said George, hoisting himself up on his cushions. "I know that Mad Eye wouldn't want—" "I know!" Harry bellowed. He felt beleaguered and blackmailed. Did they think he did not know what they had done for him? Didn't they understand it was for precisely that reason that he wanted to go now, before they had to suffer any more on his behalf? There was a long and awkward silence, in which his scar continued to prickle and throb, and which was broken only at last by Mrs. Weasley. "Where's Hedwig, Harry?" she said coaxingly. "We can put her up with Pigwidgeon and give her something to eat." His insides clenched like a fist. He could not tell her the truth. He drank the last of his fire whiskey to avoid answering. Wait till it gets out. Yeah, like you... Oops. "Wait till it gets out, you did it again, Harry," said Hagrid. "Escaped him. Fought him off when it was right on top of you." "It wasn't me," said Harry flatly. "It was my wand. My wand acted of its own accord." After a few moments, Hermione said gently, "But that's impossible, Harry. You mean that you did magic without meaning to? You reacted instinctively." "No," said Harry. "The bike was falling. I couldn't have told you where Voldemort was. My wand spun in my hand, and I found him and shot a spell at him. And it wasn't even a spell I recognized. I've never made gold flames appear before." "Often," said Mr. Weasley, "when you're in a pressured situation, you can produce magic you never dreamed of. Small children often find, before they trade—" "It wasn't like that," said Harry through gritted teeth. His scar was burning. He felt angry and frustrated. He hated the idea that they were all imagining him to have power to match Voldemort's. No one said anything. He knew that they did not believe him. Now that he came to think of it, he had never heard of a wand performing magic on its own before. His scar seared with pain. It was all he could do not to moan aloud. Muttering about fresh air, he set down his glass and left the room. As he crossed the dark yard, the great skeletal thestral looked up, rustling its enormous bat-like wings, then resumed its grazing. Harry stopped at the gate into the garden, staring out at its overgrown plants, rubbing his pounding forehead and thinking of Dumbledore. Dumbledore would have believed him, he knew it. Dumbledore would have known why and how Harry's wand had acted independently, because Dumbledore had always had the answers. He had known about wands, had explained to Harry the strange connection that existed between his wand and Voldemort's. But Dumbledore, like Mad-Eye, like Sirius, like his parents, like his poor owl, all were gone, where Harry could never talk to them again. He felt a burning in his throat that had nothing to do with fire whiskey. And then, out of nowhere, the pain in his scar peaked. As he clutched his forehead and closed his eyes, a voice screamed inside his head. "You told me the problem would be solved by using another's wand." And into his mind burst the vision of an emaciated old man lying in rags upon a stone floor, screaming, a horrible drawn-out scream, a scream of unendured agony. "No, no, I beg you, I beg you!" "You lied to the great Lord Voldemort, Ollivander." "I did not. I swear I did not." "You sought to help Potter, to help him escape me." "I swear I did not. I believed a different wand would work." "Explain then what happened." "Lucius's wand is destroyed." "I cannot understand. The connection exists only between your two wands." "Lies." "Please, I beg you." And Harry saw the white hand raise its wand, and felt Voldemort's surge of vicious anger, saw the frail old man on the floor writhe in agony. "Harry!" It was over as quickly as it had come. Harry stood shaking in the darkness, clutching the gate into the gardens, his heart racing. So sorry about that. Emily tried to call me. I just went ahead and edited that bit out. Moving on. It was over as quickly as it had come. Harry stood shaking in the darkness, clutching the gate into the garden, his heart racing, his scars still tingling. It was several moments before he realized that Ron and Hermione were at his side. "Harry, come back into the house," Hermione whispered. "You aren't still thinking of leaving?" "Yeah, you've got to stay, mate," said Ron, thumping Harry on the back. "Are you all right?" Hermione asked, close enough now to look into Harry's face. "You look awful." "Well," said Harry shakily, "I probably look better than Ollivander." When he had finished telling them what he had seen, Ron looked appalled, but Hermione downright terrified. "But that was supposed to have stopped. Your scar, it wasn't supposed to do this anymore. You mustn't let the connection open up again. Dumbledore wanted you to close your mind." When he did not reply, she gripped his arm. "Harry, he's taking over the Ministry and the newspapers and half the Wizarding World. Don't let him inside your head, too." This concludes my reading of Hip and the Dare for My Girth. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now.